This project is located just north of Winona, Minnesota, along the Mississippi River. We're on the west side. This is the Whitewater River bottoms. This feeds to the Mississippi River. Very, very sensitive wetland area, very unstable ground conditions. We've got about 4 feet of muck right underneath us here. The reason for this project was Dairyland needed to come in here and replace this existing 69 kV transmission line. The poles were rotten, the line was old, they needed to rebuild it. So what we came in and helped them do was, with our air bridge system, keep all their equipment up on top, minimize their costs, minimize the impacts of the wetland. My name is John Keener, and I am the Vice President of Earth Safe Division of New South Access and Environmental Solutions. What we focus on at Earth Safe is areas such as this that are extremely sensitive, usually wetland, where we need to get access into the system either to do new construction or rebuild of existing infrastructure. These kind of wetlands are extremely sensitive and very difficult to build in, and sometimes you just can't avoid it. You've got to get into these things. We've found a way with the MTech air bridge to be able to get into these kind of wetland systems at a very low cost and low impacts to the environment. The MTech air bridge access system is designed to spread weight out over a large area. And the way we do this is with what we call our runner bars, which are 40 foot long, 4 foot wide, normally 7.5 inches thick. We'll place those across the area that we're trying to get access into. That's what holds up all the weight. Then we deck it with a similar type of mat, but runs the opposite direction, and that's where that's our working surface, and that never comes in contact with the resource that you're trying to protect. So what you basically have is a large area that allows for weight distribution both laterally and horizontally along the working surface, and it actually minimizes the footprint. The pound per square inch is less than that of the human foot. Human foot is around 7 pounds. This actually will come down to around 3 to 3.5 pounds per square inch. When using traditional timber mats for access, such in a situation like this, one of the disadvantages is you may have filled this wetland with thousands of mats. You've compacted soils, you've disrupted all the vegetation, crushed the root systems. It's going to take a long time for that to recover, if it ever recovers, because once you start to do damage like that, now you've opened the door for invasive plant species to come in and to get established, and that can take over a wetland system. So by using the air bridge system like what we have with the MTech air bridge, we don't do that kind of damage. These runners that are underneath this decking are actually floating on top of the vegetation that's present and keeping everything up off the bottom of the marsh. We leave things intact, root systems intact, and that allows the vegetation to regrow very quickly. In fact, if you come back here next spring, you won't even know we were here. When New South was developing the access plan for this particular segment of the project, we came out and we looked at this marsh. We actually walked through it a couple times. We've flown with helicopters. We've looked at this from all different angles. And what we found was we were able to break this down into what we call Type 3, Type 2, and Type 1 matting. Type 3 matting is your MTech air bridge access, where we've got the runners and the decking. We want to distribute that weight load out as far as possible. You can see how the vegetation has started to change here. We're getting a little bit drier as we go uphill. We're still on air bridge. This is still very soft. If I stepped off here, I'd sink up to my knees, but we've gone from wild rice into river bulrush. There's some arrowhead, duck potato, scattered around. We still want to use our MTech air bridge system here because the ground's so soft. And we get down a ways, about 1,200 feet down into this, the water regime changes. It's still pretty soft, but it's not as marshy as this. Well, rather than going ahead and just continuing our air bridge, that would have been costly to the client, we decided to switch to what we call type 2 matting, which is, we also call it a stringer decking, and that's basically we run our 40-footers, we run 2 of them parallel to each other, and we deck on top. Now we've reached the end of the type 3 air bridge system, and as we continue to move north towards the river, we're getting drier. You can see we've changed, we've gone from our bulrush, now we're into pretty much straight reed canary grass. We made a switch over now to the type 2, the stringer decking access. Same thing, we're still wet here, but we're not as wet as we were with the marsh back in the back. As we move forward, we're going to continue to get drier. We'll make another change into just straight conventional type 1 matting. So we've employed 3 different types of matting on this project, all designed to protect the resource, match the mat to the ground conditions, save our customer money. You really can't tell, but at this point on the access road, we have come to the end of the type 2 stringer decking matting, and we are on conventional matting. We've got 8-foot MTech mats laid from this point all the way to the river to the last construction pad. Single layer of mats, all reed canary grass, very dry, protecting the wetland. So what we've done is we've evaluated this wetland and we've fit the best matting system to the conditions on the ground to maximize effect but minimize cost to the client. Under normal circumstances, when we rebuild these transmission lines, we want to do this in the wintertime. Take advantage of as much frozen conditions as we can. Well, this project kind of got off track. We never really froze up solid last year. Now we're on a real tight time frame, and Dairyland needed to come in here and get this piece rebuilt during the growing season. This MTech wetland access air bridge, this is the only way they could get it done.
There's a place I go, tucked back in the pines, where a green field grows, my own little paradise. I'm thankful for this land and the life that it provides. See, the measure of a man is what he leaves behind. Oh, oh, take what you need and pass it on down.
Sometimes you just got to get on old Chucky. Let him loosen up a little bit.
I am what I am. If you sit me down, I'm going to talk like this. In trails, in pine plantations, nothing can be better.
That'd have been good if he hadn't just bulldozed the camera.